Our story begins with the Yamato, the lead ship of her class, built for the Imperial Japanese Navy just before World War II. Alongside her sister ship, Musashi, Yamato was one of the heaviest and most heavily armed battleships ever made. She displaced nearly 71,000 tons when fully loaded and was equipped with 9 18.1-inch Type 94 main guns, the largest ever mounted on a warship. Named after the ancient Yamato province in Japan, Yamato was designed to counter the United States' superior battleship fleet, Japan's main rival in the Pacific. Construction began in 1937, and she was commissioned a week after the Pearl Harbor attack in December 1941. In 1942, Yamato served as the flagship of the combined fleet, with Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto directing the fleet from her bridge during the Battle of Midway, a significant defeat for Japan. Musashi took over as flagship in early 1943, and Yamato spent the year moving between major naval bases at Truk and Kure in response to American threats. In December 1943, an American submarine torpedoed Yamato, requiring repairs at Kure, where she was refitted with more anti-aircraft guns and radar in early 1944. She was present at the Battle of the Philippine Sea in June 1944 but did not engage in combat. Yamato's only engagement with her main guns against enemy surface targets occurred in October 1944 during the Battle of Leyte Gulf. Sent to confront American forces invading the Philippines, she threatened American troop transports but instead encountered a light escort carrier group, Task Force 77, Taffy 3, in the Battle off Samar. Yamato helped sink the escort carrier USS Gambier Bay and the destroyers USS Johnston and USS Hull. However, American air attacks forced the Japanese to retreat, believing they were up against a more powerful carrier fleet. By 1944, the naval power balance in the Pacific had shifted decisively against Japan. By early 1945, Japan's fleet was significantly weakened and suffering from severe fuel shortages. In a desperate move to slow the Allied advance, Yamato was sent on a one-way mission to Okinawa in April 1945, with orders to beach herself and fight until destroyed to protect the island. The task force was spotted south of Kyushu by U.S. submarines and aircraft, and on April 7, 1945, American carrier-based bombers and torpedo bombers sank Yamato, resulting in the loss of most of her crew. Design and construction. During the 1930s, Japan embraced an ultranationalist and militant approach, aiming to expand its empire significantly. By 1934, Japan had withdrawn from the League of Nations, renouncing its treaty commitments. After stepping away from the Washington Naval Treaty, which restricted the size and power of capital ships, the Imperial Japanese Navy began designing the new Yamato-class battleships. The planners recognized that Japan couldn't match the production capabilities of U.S. naval shipyards if war broke out, so they designed the 70,000-ton Yamato class to engage multiple enemy battleships simultaneously. Yamato's keel, the lead ship of this class, was laid down on November 4, 1937, at the Kure Naval Arsenal in Hiroshima. The dockyard was adapted to handle her enormous hull, deepening the dock by over 3 feet and installing gantry cranes capable of lifting up to 350 tons. Throughout the construction, extreme secrecy was maintained, including erecting a canopy over part of the dry dock to conceal the ship from view. Yamato was launched on August 8, 1940, with Captain Miyazato Shudoku in command, who later became Vice Admiral. Every effort was made to keep the ship's existence and specifications hidden from American intelligence. As the Yamato neared completion, her powerful armament took center stage. Her main battery featured 9 18.1-inch Type 94 guns, the largest ever mounted on a warship. These guns, each measuring over 69 feet long and weighing 162 tons, could fire high explosive or armor-piercing shells up to 26 miles. Although these shells were not as heavy as those used by British 18-inch naval guns in World War I, they were still immensely powerful. In addition to these massive guns, Yamato's secondary battery included 12 6.1-inch guns in 4 triple turrets and 12 5-inch guns in 6 twin mounts. These turrets were originally taken from the Mogami-class cruisers. Alongside these, Yamato was equipped with 24 1-inch anti-aircraft guns, primarily placed amidships to defend against aerial threats. During refits in 1944 and 1945, as battles in the South Pacific escalated, Yamato's armament was significantly enhanced. The secondary battery was reconfigured to 6 6.1-inch guns and 24 5-inch guns. Moreover, the number of 1-inch anti-aircraft guns increased substantially to 162, providing a robust defense against enemy aircraft. Service. Yamato's early trials and operations were critical in proving her capabilities. During October or November 1941, she underwent sea trials, reaching her top speed of 31.5 miles per hour. As war drew closer, the urgency to complete her grew. By December 16, months ahead of schedule, Yamato was officially commissioned at Kure in a low-key ceremony, reflecting the Japanese effort to keep her details hidden. Under Captain Jihachi Takayanagi, she joined the 1st Battleship Division alongside Nagato and Mutsu. On February 12, 1942, Yamato became the flagship of Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto's combined fleet. Yamamoto, known for his role in the Pearl Harbor attack, planned a major engagement with the U.S. Navy at Midway Island. Yamato departed Hiroshima Bay on May 27 for the operation. However, U.S. codebreakers intercepted Yamamoto's plans, leading to a disastrous defeat at Midway, with Japan losing 4 carriers and 332 aircraft. Despite being the fleet's command ship, Yamato was too far to engage and retreated to Kure after the battle. In August 1942, Yamato left Kure for Truk, narrowly avoiding torpedoes from the American submarine USS Flying Fish. She remained at Truk during the Guadalcanal campaign due to ammunition shortages and high fuel consumption. In February 1943, Musashi replaced Yamato as the combined fleet's flagship. After spending most of her time at Truk, Yamato returned to Japan in May for repairs and upgrades. Yamato underwent significant refitting in late July 1943 and returned to Truk in August, joining a task force to counter American raids. She was active in operations to intercept U.S. forces but often saw little action. In December, while transporting troops and equipment, Yamato was hit by a torpedo from the American submarine Skate, causing significant damage. Temporary repairs at Truk were followed by a return to Kure for further repairs in January 1944. In early 1944, Yamato received upgrades to her radar and anti-aircraft systems. Her 2 beam-mounted 6.1-inch turrets were replaced with pairs of 5-inch guns, and the number of anti-aircraft guns increased significantly. She left dry dock in March and began trials, then embarked on a mission to Manila in April, before joining Vice Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa's mobile fleet in Malaya. In early June 1944, Yamato and her sister ship Musashi were called into action as troop transports to bolster the defenses of Biak Island as part of Operation Khan. However, the mission was aborted when news reached Ozawa's headquarters about American carrier attacks on the Mariana Islands. The Imperial Japanese Navy then reorganized, concentrating its remaining strength in hopes of achieving a decisive victory against the Americans. By this time, the Japanese Navy was clearly outnumbered and outmatched by the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Between June 19 and June 23, Yamato escorted forces of Ozawa's mobile fleet during the Battle of the Philippine Sea, a battle American pilots dubbed the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot due to the lopsided losses. The Japanese lost 3 aircraft carriers and 426 aircraft, while Yamato's most notable action was mistakenly firing on returning Japanese planes. After the battle, Yamato and the mobile fleet retreated to the Hashirajima staging area near Kure to refuel and rearm. On June 24, Yamato and Musashi departed for Kure, where Yamato received additional anti-aircraft mounts. Emergency buoyancy procedures were also implemented, removing almost all flammable materials and equipping the ship with additional portable pumps and firefighting equipment. On July 8, Yamato, along with Musashi, Kongo, Nagato, and a fleet of cruisers and destroyers, sailed south to the Linga Islands, arriving between July 16 and 17. With Japan's tanker fleet severely reduced by American submarines, major fleet units were stationed in the East Indies to stay close to their fuel supplies. Yamato and her companions remained at the Linga Islands for the next 3 months. Between October 22 and 25, 1944, Yamato participated in one of the largest naval battles in history, the Battle of Leyte Gulf. This engagement was part of Admiral Takeo Kurita's Center Force, also known as Force A or the First Striking Force. The Japanese launched Operation SHO-GO in response to the American invasion of the Philippines, aiming to converge multiple groups on the island of Leyte, where American troops were landing. On October 18, in preparation for a nighttime transit through the San Bernardino Strait, Yamato was coated with black camouflage made from soot collected from her smokestack. On October 23, while en route to Leyte, the fleet was attacked in the Palawan Passage by the American submarines USS Darter and USS Dace. These submarines sank 2 Takao-class heavy cruisers, including Kurita's flagship, Otago, and damaged another. Kurita survived the loss of Otago and transferred his command to Yamato. The following day, the Battle of the Sibuyan Sea inflicted severe damage on the center force, resulting in the loss of another heavy cruiser and significantly weakening the fleet's anti-aircraft defenses. Throughout the day, American carrier aircraft launched 259 sorties. Planes from the USS Essex managed to hit Yamato with 2 armor-piercing bombs and scored 1 near miss. Despite sustaining moderate damage and taking on approximately 3,320 tons of water, Yamato remained operational. However, her sister ship, Musashi, bore the brunt of the American attacks and eventually sank after being struck by 17 bombs and 19 torpedoes. The battle off Samar, a crucial part of the larger Battle of Leyte Gulf, saw Yamato and a Tone-class cruiser head into one of the most intense naval engagements of World War II. On the evening of October 24, 1944, Admiral William Halsey Jr. led the main American battle group away from Leyte Gulf, believing Kurita's center force had been repelled. Halsey's Task Force 38 pursued the Japanese Northern Force, a decoy made up of the fleet carrier Zuikaku, 3 light carriers, 2 hybrid battleship carriers, and their escorts. This deception successfully drew away significant American firepower. Kurita's force navigated the San Bernardino Strait under the cover of darkness and, at dawn, attacked Taffy 3, a small American formation providing close support for the troops landing at Leyte. Taffy 3 included 6 escort carriers, 3 destroyers, and 4 destroyer escorts. At 6:57 a.m., from 35,000 yards, Yamato fired her main guns at the American warships, marking her first and only surface action against enemy vessels. Mistakenly believing the escort carriers were full-sized fleet carriers, Kurita ordered armor-piercing shells that over-penetrated the lightly armored ships. Despite this, Yamato scored her first hit of the battle, damaging the escort carrier USS White Plains. At 7:30 a.m., Yamato spotted what she believed was a cruiser but was actually the destroyer USS Johnston. Johnston had just completed a torpedo run, severely damaging the heavy cruiser Kumino. Yamato's guns gouged Johnston with 3 direct hits, followed by additional damage from secondary guns. Despite sustaining critical damage, Johnston managed to continue fighting for a while longer. Yamato resumed firing on the escort carriers but struggled to hit due to the extreme range. At around 7:50 a.m., destroyers USS Hull and USS Heermann attacked the Japanese battleships, with Hull hitting Yamato with 2 shells, though without significant damage. Both destroyers launched torpedoes, forcing Yamato to evade and temporarily leave the battle. After the torpedoes ran out of fuel, Yamato returned to the fight around 8:10 a.m., targeting the escort carrier USS Gambier Bay. From 22,000 yards, Yamato's main guns struck Gambier Bay, leading to her eventual sinking under sustained fire. Despite inflicting heavy damage on Taffy 3, sinking or helping to sink 4 ships, relentless American air attacks sank 3 Japanese heavy cruisers. With mounting losses and under threat of more air attacks, Kurita ordered a retreat, leaving the primary objective, the American troop convoys, untouched. In the aftermath, Yamato was further damaged by aircraft from USS Hornet, suffering 2 bomb hits. Following the battle, Yamato and the remnants of Kurita's force returned to Brunei. On November 15, 1944, the 1st Battleship Division was disbanded, and Yamato became the flagship of the 2nd Fleet. While withdrawing to Kure Naval Base on November 21, Yamato's group was attacked by the submarine USS Sea Lion, resulting in the loss of the battleship Congo and the destroyer Yurikaze. Yamato then entered dry dock for repairs and anti-aircraft upgrades, with Captain Aruga Kosaku assuming command on November 25. In January 1945, Yamato, Haruna, and Nagato were transferred to the newly reactivated 1st Battleship Division. After leaving dry dock 2 days later, Yamato moved to Japan's Inland Sea. This reassignment was brief, and by February 10, the 1st Battleship Division was deactivated again, with Yamato now part of the 1st Carrier Division. On March 19, American carrier aircraft from Task Group 58.1 attacked Kure Harbor. Despite 16 warships being hit, Yamato sustained only minor damage from near misses and a bomb that struck her bridge. A squadron of Kawanishi N-1K-1 Shiden fighters, flown by experienced Japanese pilots, helped mitigate the damage by intercepting some of the attacking planes. As Allied forces prepared to invade Okinawa, the Japanese launched Operation Tango, deploying Yamato and 9 escorts, including the cruiser Yahagi and 8 destroyers, to attack the Allied fleet. Yamato was to beach herself and serve as a stationary gun platform, fighting until destroyed. By March 29, Yamato had taken on a full load of ammunition, and local base commanders authorized additional fuel, bringing the ship to 60% capacity for the one-way mission to Okinawa. The Surface Special Attack Force departed Tokuyama on April 6. However, Allied forces had intercepted and decoded Japanese communications, revealing the details of Operation Tango. American submarines Threadfin and Hackleback spotted the Japanese force in the Bungo Strait around 8 p.m., reporting Yamato's position to the main American carrier strike force. The submarines couldn't attack due to the high speed and zigzagging of the Japanese ships. As dawn broke on April 7, Yamato's crew were at general quarters, ready for anti-aircraft action. The first Allied aircraft made contact at 8:23 a.m., and for the next 5 hours, Yamato fired at seaplanes shadowing the force but couldn't prevent them from relaying information. By 10 a.m., Yamato had her first radar contact with incoming aircraft, and an hour later, American F-6F Hellcat fighters appeared overhead. No Japanese planes countered. At 12:30 p.m., 280 American aircraft arrived. The destroyer Asashimo, lagging due to engine trouble, was sunk by aircraft from the USS San Jacinto. Yamato increased speed to 24 knots, with destroyers circling to provide anti-aircraft defense. The first bomb struck Yamato at 12:41 p.m., obliterating 2 anti-aircraft mounts and blowing a hole in the deck. Subsequent bombs destroyed the radar room and a 5-inch gun mount. A torpedo hit far forward on the port side at 12:45 p.m., causing minor shockwave effects, followed by 2 more bombs damaging a turret and its magazines. Shortly after, up to 3 more torpedoes hit Yamato. 2 impacts were confirmed near the engine and boiler rooms, and a probable third hit caused additional flooding. Counterflooding reduced the port list to 1 degree, but the ship's speed was slightly decreased, and many of her anti-aircraft crews were incapacitated. A second wave of attacks began just before 1 p.m., with dive bombers and torpedo bombers striking from all directions. Yamato's anti-aircraft guns were overwhelmed. Torpedoes and bombs caused further flooding and damage, and the ship began listing heavily to port. Counterflooding managed to reduce this list to 10 degrees, but further measures would require major repairs. Yamato was hit by at least 11 torpedoes and 6 bombs, with more possible but unconfirmed hits. The most damaging attack came around 1:40 p.m. 4 bombs hit the superstructure, causing heavy casualties among the anti-aircraft crews. Near misses compromised the ship's outer plating, and 4 more torpedoes struck, flooding the engine and fire rooms and disabling steering. The ship was stuck in a starboard turn, losing maneuverability. By 2:02 p.m., with the ship heavily listing and fires raging out of control, the order to abandon ship was given. At 2:20 p.m., power failed, and Yamato began capsizing. A massive explosion at 2:23 p.m., visible from 99 miles away, marked the end of Yamato. Only about 276 of her 3,332 crew survived, including Fleet Commander Vice Admiral Seiichi Ito. The survivors were picked up by the 4 remaining destroyers, which then returned to Japan. Wreck discovery. The discovery and identification of most wrecks of Japanese capital ships lost in World War II took until 2019 due to often confused circumstances and incomplete information about their sinkings. An expedition to the East China Sea in 1982, using U.S. wartime records, produced some results, but the wreckage discovered couldn't be clearly identified. A second expedition in 1984 confirmed the Yamato's final resting place through photographic and video records, later verified by one of the battleship's designers, Shigeru Makino. The wreck lies 180 miles southwest of Kyushu, under 1,120 feet of water, split into 2 main sections, the bow and the stern. On July 16, 2015, a group of Japanese Liberal Democratic Party lawmakers began meetings to explore the feasibility of raising the ship and recovering the remains of crew members entombed in the wreckage. They planned to request government funds for research into the technical feasibility of this endeavor. In May 2016, the wreckage was surveyed using digital technology, providing a more detailed view and confirming the earlier identification. The resulting video revealed many details, including the Imperial chrysanthemum on the bow, the massive propeller, and the detached main gun turret. This 9-minute video is now shown at the Yamato Museum in Kure. Cultural significance. From their very inception, Yamato and her sister ship Musashi held a significant place in Japanese culture. These battleships symbolize the peak of Imperial Japanese naval engineering, embodying Japan's resolve and readiness to defend its interests against Western powers, especially the United States. Shigeru Fukudome, head of the operations section of the Imperial Japanese Navy General Staff, remarked that these ships provided officers and men with a profound sense of confidence in their navy. Yamato's symbolic power was so strong that many Japanese believed their country could never fall as long as Yamato continued to fight. Decades after the war, Yamato was honored in various forms by the Japanese. Historically, Yamato was a poetic name for Japan, making the ship's name a metaphor for the end of the Japanese Empire. In April 1968, a memorial tower was erected at Cape Inutabu on Tokunoshima to commemorate those lost in Operation Tango. In 1974, Leiji Matsumoto created the television series Space Battleship Yamato, which imagined the battleship rebuilt as a starship on a quest to save Earth. The series was a major success, leading to 8 feature films and 4 more TV series, with the latest released in 2017. The series popularized the space opera genre and became a symbol of heroism for post-war Japanese, helping them regain a sense of masculinity after their country's defeat. Known as Star Blazers in the United States, the series also established a foundation for anime in North America. The Yamato motif was echoed in Silent Service, a popular manga and anime exploring nuclear weapons and Japan-US relations. It tells the story of a nuclear-powered submarine whose crew mutinies and renames the vessel Yamato, reflecting the ideals symbolized by the World War II battleship. In 2005, the Yamato Museum opened near the former Kura shipyards to educate on Japan's maritime history, with a special focus on its namesake. The museum features a 26.3-meter, 86 feet, long model of Yamato, 1/10 scale, as its centerpiece, along with a section dedicated to Matsumoto's animated series. Also in 2005, Toei released a 143-minute movie titled Yamato, based on Jun Henmei's book, to mark the 60th anniversary of the end of World War II. Tamiya released special editions of scale models of the battleship alongside the film. The movie, depicting the sailors aboard the doomed battleship and themes of honor and duty, was a commercial hit, grossing 5.11 billion yen at the Japanese box office. The 2019 film The Great War of Archimedes, based on Norifusa Mita's manga, tells the story of a dispute within the Japanese Navy over funding the construction of aircraft carriers or a new battleship that would become Yamato. The film starts with Yamato's sinking and ends with its commissioning. Summary: Yamato's legacy endures, not just as a powerful warship but as a profound symbol in Japanese culture. The battleship represented Japan's engineering prowess and its steadfast determination to protect its sovereignty. Even decades after its sinking, Yamato remains a symbol of Japan's resilience and historical memory. From its depiction in popular media like the space battleship Yamato series to the Yamato Museum in Kure, the ship's story continues to inspire and educate. Yamato and Musashi, with their unparalleled size and power, were seen as the pride of the Imperial Japanese Navy. They embodied the hope and strength of a nation during a time of intense conflict. The cultural impact of Yamato extended beyond its military service. It became a metaphor for the nation's spirit and endurance. Post-war Japan found ways to honor and remember Yamato. Memorials, museums, and even popular culture adaptations have kept the ship's story alive. The Yamato Museum in Kure, with its detailed model and exhibits, serves as a poignant reminder of the ship's historical significance. Meanwhile, films and anime like Space Battleship Yamato have brought the story to new generations, blending history with creative storytelling. The narrative of Yamato also reflects broader themes of duty, sacrifice, and the quest for peace. The ship's final mission, Operation Tango, and its ultimate fate symbolize the extreme measures taken during wartime and the heavy toll it exacted on those involved. Yet, through remembrance and education, Yamato's story contributes to a deeper understanding of history and the importance of striving for a peaceful future. In contemporary times, efforts to study and possibly raise the wreck of Yamato highlight an ongoing fascination and respect for the ship. Advanced technology has allowed for detailed surveys of the wreck, offering new insights and preserving its memory for posterity. These endeavors ensure that Yamato's legacy is not forgotten but continues to be explored and understood. Yamato's story, from its construction and wartime service to its enduring cultural significance, remains a powerful testament to Japan's history. It is a story of innovation, resilience, and the enduring human spirit. As we remember Yamato, we honor the past and the lessons it imparts for the future. Thanks for watching, The Animated General. Out.